dark in here. Well, hello. Well, today I take a trip up to West London. We're going to have a look at the elevated section of the M4 motorway, have a closer look at Chiswick, take a look at some of its history, and take a little ride along the Thames for a couple of spots. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then come and join me for the ride. Musician on a motorbike. Well, hello. Well, thank you for joining me again today. Yes, as you can probably see, I'm not in my usual gorgeous surroundings of the Hampshire countryside and the Berkshire countryside, with the rolling hills, the beautiful trees, the sun glistening off the leaves, and the fields that just go on for eternity. You remember those quaint little villages with thatched roofs and beautiful village pubs and even the old red phone boxes? No, ladies and gentlemen, today I have decided to fill my lungs with diesel and to admire concrete. Yes, we are today heading into West London. And on this particular trip, we're aiming for Chiswick. So let's climb aboard and head on. Had a bit of a trip up here on the M3, M25 and M4, and so I've stopped here to take the camera out because I had this smart idea of saving footage and memory by not recording. Wow, that's a pothole the size of one of the villages I normally ride through. I saved myself recording a very dull motorway, so I pulled into the services to put the camera on, all part of the plan. Well, that's a bit of luck. The whole journey up here I was thinking how grey it looked because the sun wasn't out, and now we have sun. I take all I said back about the sun glistening off the leaves of the trees. Well, they've got some trees here, not quite the rolling hills, but the concrete I promised is all there. Now, if anybody knows the geography of this area, you might be wondering why I came up the M3, M25 to the M4 to Chiswick. I mean, it is an option, it is a route, but you could also go straight in on the M3, and from where I am in Hampshire, that would have been a more direct route. But there was a particular area that I wanted to show you, because we are about to enter onto what is more commonly today known as the elevated section of the M4 motorway. We're not quite on it yet, but it's just a little way ahead. And I thought I'd just show it to you from a perspective of riding over it, and then talk a little bit about it. It dates back to 1959 when it became, or when it first started, as the Chiswick Flyover. Why do I know that? How do I know that? Well, that's what my grandparents used to use it. They actually lived near Kew Bridge, which is just up the road from the Chiswick roundabout, which we're also going to go over. And then it was extended in 1964, I believe, and also extended further still in 1965 to become what we know today as the M4 elevated section. Now, one of the interesting parts of this elevated section, and I read this earlier today, I didn't even know this, is talk about visionary. They actually put heated elements in the motorway so it wouldn't freeze in winter. Can you believe that? We're talking 1960s technology here. But eventually it was too expensive to run, so they switched those off. And here we are, just ascending as if through flight. I believe there was a plan to extend this much further into and around London, but London boroughs being what they are, I don't think that quite happened. But here we are, enjoying the view from the elevated section of London.
The original Chiswick Flyover carried the first half mile of the M4 for its start at junction number 1. The flyover was extended to be over 2 miles long in the early 60s, forming part of the M4 junction 1 to junction 5 section, and that was opened in 1965. The first 1.5 miles of the flyover tracks the course of the A4, which is directly beneath, effectively forming a 2-tier road system. The flyover was built at a cost then of £6 million, and it was actually designed to relieve the congestion at the Chiswick roundabout, the junction of Chiswick High Road, North Circular Road, South Circular Road and the Great West Road. It was some 40,000 cars per day were estimated were causing issues at the junction. Now, the opening ceremony of the flyover was performed by the then very famous Hollywood actress Jane Mansfield and took place on the 30th of September 1959. Now, the sad tale is that Jane actually was killed in a car crash in Mississippi on June the 28th, 1967, so still relatively young at the time of her death. It wasn't until 1964, 5 years after opening, that it actually became part of the M4 motorway, and by 1969 was said to be the most dangerous road in Britain. Yes, interesting. By 2009, it's estimated that 97,000 vehicles per day were using this M4 flyover. And in October 2009, the actress Imogen Stubbs unveiled a plaque in a ceremony in Chiswick to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the opening of this flyover. Who would have thought that a bit of road could have such rich history?
This is Chiswick roundabout I referred to earlier, just below me now. So this is where it all started, when it was the Chiswick Flyover, and before that it was just a roundabout. But even back in the 60s they were struggling with traffic in and around this area. You can only imagine the devastation it would have caused to all these, what I would call beautiful homes and houses around here. Anyway, from all that concrete monstrosity of a road, the elevated section, we're now approaching the, or will be in a bit, the Hogarth roundabout, once we get past these lights. And I'm going to take you from the 60s all the way back to the 1800s. Hopefully. And here we are approaching the Hogarth roundabout, and you've got the flyover there, which I'm sure many have been over that. I believe it was set up as a temporary structure, but such was its success that they've left it there. And I must be honest, when I come into London, well, on the rare occasions these days, but certainly when I used to come in regularly, that was just absolutely fantastic, because you literally drive down your 316 and then you go M3, 316, and then as you can see, cars are just driving over it, missing all of this traffic straight up. It's a real time saver, both for those driving over it and for us, because there's less traffic to contend with. But it's only one way, it's quite narrow, so you wouldn't get a truck over it, probably squeeze a van. But yeah, very handy. bit of road structure. Right, now we're heading in a slightly different direction. And some of you might notice I have my phone on my handlebars, which is rare. You don't see that often these days. I generally, as you know, I've talked about it before, I like the Royal Enfield sat-nav, which name escapes me right now. Tripper, thank you. My memory, thank you, my memory. But I can just see much clearer with this, particularly in these complex little roads. I do know this area quite well. As I say, it is kind of home, West London to me. But it's nice to see. So we are now about to head towards the Chiswick Mall. I thought I'd take you on a little tour down there. There's not too much of it, but it's one of the oldest parts of Chiswick. Just some beautiful, beautiful houses. Now we're actually heading towards the Thames right now. And this used to be the homes for fishermen and boat builders. But now it's the wealthy that can afford to live down here.
Now, as we take a walk towards the Thames, there used to be a ferry here. I'm going back about 100 or so years, and it was the only way to cross the Thames. Now, since the 7th century, the only church in Chiswick until 1843 was this very church here, St Nicholas. Now, the village of Chiswick developed around this old church, well, the original church, in about 1181. The tower was built at some time between 1416 and 1435, but the current church, with the exception of the tower, was completed between 1882 and 1884. Right, let's jump back on the bike and head down the Chiswick Mall. And no one could possibly want to speak to me here about my motorbike, would they? Surely not.
My dad used to have a lot of motorbikes when I was younger.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, my dad did.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, yeah. In London.
Yeah, it's quick, isn't it?
Definitely in London, better than a car.
Upload on YouTube.
Yeah.
What's your
Musician.
Are you a musician?
Yeah.
Oh,
Piano, yeah, singing.
Can I just ask?
Oh, nice guy. He's asking about the bike. We've got beautiful properties along here. Stunning.
As I've already mentioned, while the area was once populated by fishermen, boat builders and other tradespeople associated with the river, it is over the kind of recent decades and recent centuries, it's been a place where mostly the wealthy have built very imposing houses. Now, we're not talking as recent as you might think, because a lot of the facades were built in the 18th or 19th century, so they do appear a lot newer than they are, but some of them actually date back, current houses that is, date back to Tudor times. So we're a good 400 or 500 years old in some parts along this road. The area was described by John Boack. He was a writing master at Westminster School, and in 1705 he wrote that the greatest number of houses are stretched along the waterside from the lime kiln near Hammersmith to the church, in which dwell several small traders, but for the most part fishermen and watermen, who make up a considerable part of the inhabitants of this town. So you see, people have been writing about this particular street for centuries. And I just pulled in here because as I look to the right, you could just see some of the gardens that some of the houses enjoy are actually on the Thames. So you might go over a short road, but you can just sit there and just enjoy the view of the Thames. And yeah, it does look a rather beautiful place to reside, to live and spend time. Certainly I thought so. And so close to what is very industrious. I mean, you look at the road that runs parallel with this. Such a contrast, a real juxtaposition of architecture.
I'm actually just riding parallel with where I've just been. You wouldn't believe it, would you? If you go from this to those beautiful houses right by the Thames there. Well, you would believe it, but you know, it's such a contrast, juxtaposition between the practical, which is what this is, and the beautiful, which is what that is. We're approaching the Hogarth roundabout from the other end. We're still not going to go over the flyover. Maybe I will one day. There is actually a bit of a story I want to tell. Because just behind me, I was heading towards it, but I'm heading away from it now, is Hammersmith. And I had a great aunt and a grandfather that went to school there. I've actually got my great aunt's school reports. In the 1920s, she went on to go to university. It was quite incredible because women weren't really regular at university. In fact, nobody was regulars at university really back then. For women, it was very, very rare. And so I was quite proud when I found her degree certificate in geology, all subjects. Now, the real tragedy of her life is that she graduated and became a school teacher, became very unwell, and sadly died aged 24 years old in 1926. I can only imagine the heartbreak of losing a child at 26 and someone who'd achieved so much. But that story is for another time. We're going back to Hammersmith. And now I'm heading towards Kew Bridge, which is just round the corner from where my nan and grad lived when I was a wee baby. And the other thing about London that's changed over the years since I was here is the speed limit is now 20 everywhere, which is very, very difficult. I mean, I wouldn't call this a powerful bike, but to do 20 on this is hard enough. But somehow, I don't disagree with it. Well, I don't live here, so maybe it's easy for me to say. I don't disagree because it makes riding quite relaxing. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going up over that bridge there. Yes, this is why the visual picture is quite handy. That was as well as I know West London, because not only did I live here, was I born here, was I raised here, my ancestors come from here, but I was a field service engineer, so I got to know the area very well. I wouldn't say quite cabbie standards, but some parts I would claim that, but I'm right on a patch now that I don't really know this bit. I'll know when I get there and I know where I've come from. Oh no, I don't want to turn here, I want to go left, don't I? Oh, a red phone box. Defibrillator. I'll take that. They've got green trees, they've got green grass, and they've got red phone boxes, even if they're reused. So you see, I got it all wrong about the countryside in London. Now, I want to go down that road where that truck's reversing, but I want to make sure he's seen me, and I'm not sure he has. I'm sure I could whiz down there, but let's just give him a bit of space. Probably stressful enough already. Now he's seen me, I think I'm going to go for it. Need about 18 eyes right now to keep an eye on all the cars coming from different angles. These are beautiful houses, absolutely gorgeous. Well, I think so. And it these houses here look like they're back onto the Thames. As if they couldn't be any more beautiful already. Always loved Chiswick. I used to come here as a regular visitor when I visited my grandparents. As I said, they lived not far from Kew Bridge. Oh, now I'm familiar. I thought I recognised that bit just now. I think it just went past. I think I was probably a child when I last drove along this road. Beautiful. There's the Thames again. Aptly named Thames Road. Strand on the Green School. Now, why does that matter? I didn't know I was going to pass that. I thought I'd get close to it. My mother went there when she was a child. She died in 2019. And her parents lived on Stile Gardens, which is, you've got to go over a railway bridge. So yes, when I say I'm going back to old haunts, it's old haunts for me, but even more so for my ancestors. I mean, my mother is a bit closer than just an ancestor. Should have parked in here. Now you might wonder why I've stopped here, and why I headed to that steam packet. See, it's a beautiful building, got a bit of history of its own, with its own balcony, overlooking the glorious Thames. Looks like the tide's out at the moment. Yes, the Thames is on the tide. In fact, I think some would say that this is actually the seaside. But that's a discussion for another time. And there is Kew Bridge. Beautiful, beautiful Kew Bridge. It really is rather beautiful, that. Well, some might be questioning, well, why have I stopped here? What's so special about the steam packet? Well, talking about visiting your family, that is where my mother and father had their wedding reception. Yes, the whole family, before I was a thing, met in there. Beautiful. Well, thanks for joining me today. It's been great to introduce you even to just a little bit of Chiswick, just a little bit of history, a little bit of the views from the elevated section to the some of the oldest parts of Chiswick, to see the Thames, and also the steam packet where I was well, I wasn't anything. My parents had their reception. A little bit of family history and share a little bit of West London with you. But thanks for joining me. Take care, ride safe, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Bye for now.